Hi, hello. This is Prof. Nanius, and I want to talk about a short exercise involving conditional probability. And I'm taking this from a topic in you might call it the psychology of relationships. In this case, I'm talking about marital affairs. Now, for the purposes of this, what I would consider marital affair is a case where you have a married couple and somebody engages in an intimate relationship that's without the consent of the other partner, whether this involves just emotional intimacy or sexual intimacy. I'm not going to split hairs on that definition. The other thing I want to say is that my background's in mathematics. I teach math. And this is basically just to demonstrate the concept of conditional probability. I am not a relationship researcher or a psychology researcher, so I will be using the data that the researchers have come up with, and I'm not going to be questioning that data. We're going to be assuming that the data that I'm showing you has been checked, verified. So let's go ahead and go to share, and let's go to my share screen, and we'll start here. And so this is what I'm talking about here, and this is from Dr. Kathy Nickerson, and I'll go ahead and just share a little bit from her video here.
So I've got to tell you something about affair partners, and you're not going to love this, but I need to tell you anyways because I always want to be honest with you and keep things real between us. And that is that about 2% of relationships that start as affairs do turn into long-lasting, healthy relationships. It's extremely rare, but
Okay, so we'll start with that. And as far as the data here, the data that I'm going to be using comes from her website, and we're going to be using these figures here. And this is the idea. So what we're going to deal with is the percentage of, now I'm going to phrase this differently, but the percentage of uh, affairs that lead to a long-term marriage. I'm going to use marriage as a proxy for a relationship here. So this is the idea. So let's talk about, I'm going to be using this law right here. This is a probability of event A conditioned on B, which means a probability of A given B is given by basic probability and statistics, the probability of both A and B occurring divided by the probability of B occurring. Now, this is a situation here. And my universal set will be here. A will be the set of all people who have had affairs. And then I'm not going to be using B here. I'm going to be using M. So I'm going to let A is the set of all affairs. I'm going to be using for M is marriage from affairs. That is, if somebody's in an affair and then they leave the person they're having an affair on for their affair partner and marry them. So that's going to be M here. And this I'm going to, by N, is um, not marriage. And going back to her thing here, they say only 5 to 7 percent of affair relationships lead to marriage. So we're going to assume that this M here, so the probability of marriage in this case, using A as the universal set here, is 0.06. Now, the now of those who are married, you have that's a subset of two different people. And this will be L will be the set of M subset that have long-term marriages. Okay. So, and this, by this is 10 years, sorry, or more. And going back to her data here, they said only 25%. So, according to this data here, is among here the probability of this L is 0.25. Okay. That is a probability of, now notice this is a subset of M, right? So, sorry, this is, I really screwed this up here. Let's just forget I said that. This is a probability of um, long term given that the person is married is 0.25. And this 0.25 right here, given that they're married and the marriage starts from an affair, I should say, by our conditional probability, that's this, divided by the probability of married. And we're using probability of married as being 0.06. So the probability of an affair partner, in other words, the probability you start off as an affair and you end up with a long-term marriage is going to be 0.25 times the probability of marriage leading to an affair. And I mean, that's so using 0.06, and that leads to about 0.015. Now, if you use a higher number like 0.07 or 0.09, as I've seen other people use, then you get closer to the 2%. Now, the reason I think this is worthy of discussion is that many people confuse this number here with this number here. So I want to stress this. This 0.015, if, assuming this right here, assuming 6% of affairs end up with a marriage, this is a probability that an affair partner, a fair couple, ends up married long term. And some people confuse it with this number here, which is a much higher number, while still small. This 0.25 is given the marriage started from an affair. That it lasts 10 years or more. So even though those who understand conditional probability understand that these two numbers are very different, the general public doesn't. At least much of the general public doesn't. But those are two very different numbers, and that's um, a nice sort of a social application of conditional probability. So I do not, again, I do not claim to be a relationship researcher. I have no credentials in that area, and thanks for watching.